Hey all, Siege here, and today I thought it important to share a bit of information I think many people who watch this channel will be pretty interested in hearing, provided they don't already know about it regarding Warframe and the Duviri Paradox specifically. Long story short, it would appear that we aren't getting this quest for a very, very long time, and I have to tell all of you, I'm not confident we're going to get it at all at this point. Some of you might already know what I'm talking about. For those who don't, let me refer you to an interview GameSpot did with Rebecca Ford recently, allowing her to answer all kinds of questions regarding the game, what's going on with it, and where it's headed in the future. The segment in its entirety is actually quite interesting, providing a lot of good information on a number of aspects on the game, and let's be real, Rebecca is always a treat to watch. She's a solid interview, and when she says something, I think most of us know she's as reliable as it gets when it comes to information about the game, which is why this hit me as hard as it did. Let me share the segment I'm talking about.
What's going on with the Duviri Paradox? This answer is rooted in a 2019 reveal that we did at TennoCon of a really cerebral, weird trailer for the Duviri Paradox, and basically haven't said a word since then, and I'm gonna not say a word. Are you excited riding alien horses? Well, the 2019 Duviri Paradox trailer showed probably the most insane horse design in a video game. Maybe not the most insane, but pretty close to like, oh my god, what is this horse? I am excited, but I'll be real with you. We really don't have a lot to say about this, especially not anytime soon. So set your expectations accordingly for a lot more silence on this topic.
So yeah. This type of verbiage is not good. It's one thing to not discuss future content because doing so may spoil some of what the developers want the players to experience firsthand, but this, on the surface at least, is not that. The way Rebecca is talking tells me this quest is extremely far off, and if I can speculate a little, the context she provides sounds a lot like someone trying to tell us, subtly mind you, that Duviri may have little to nothing done on it. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if the trailer is legitimately all they've completed at this point. Of course, it might not be as well, but given that this trailer came out in 2019, it's currently 2021, and she explicitly states in the interview to set your expectations accordingly for a lot more silence on this topic. I mean, look, if they were willing to put this out way back then and aren't currently willing to even talk about it, knowing full well how many people are anxiously awaiting its arrival, the actual release of it would appear to be quite a ways off. And if I can make an observation about Rebecca while she's speaking, you can clearly tell this is a topic she's not really happy about. There's a ton of frustration in her body language, and deservedly so. An observation I've made recently is how Warframe is basically making credit content, as I like to call it. I call it that because much of what Warframe does these days resembles how people in significant credit debt produce. You know, making purchases with credit cards and paying the minimum monthly balance, basically forcing the person to continue paying on that item for months or even years after the fact. It seems like, more often than not, when Warframe comes out with something, it's generally in a bad state that will continue to require work months or even in some cases years afterwards. Something like Railjack or the Kuvalich system, or really any content that needed major work after it was released, is a perpetrator of this issue, forcing the team to continually tinker with or even completely overhaul this stuff. And if the team is knee-deep in fixes for old content, how exactly are they going to focus on the new stuff? They're always playing catch-up, fragmenting the organization in a way that just doesn't allow for tons of innovation and, more importantly, progress. And that content is really starting to pile up. I think it's one of the main reasons the game's new additions typically end up as content islands that tend to be just forgotten about. Even if they wanted to go back and work on this stuff to update it and make it better or more enjoyable, there's just no time. Because they're always fixing something that's already out. And what I'll bet is frustrating for both us, the players, and them, the developers, is that all the work they put into fixing recently released content still results in future content islands, because invariably the next piece of content will require the same additional work post-release. So in ways, all the work done just to get these things in a respectable place where the devs are actually satisfied with its function produces very little in the way of long-term player engagement. So one has to ask if the additional work is even worth it in the end. I mean, if no one plays something in the game, Does it even matter if it's in a great shape? Obviously, that's going to be subjective, but I don't think anyone would argue that this isn't a great development. Duviri was slated to release sometime in 2021, but we're almost halfway through this year, and if we're not going to even be speaking about this for an undisclosed amount of time, what really are the chances we'll see it this year? And then, considering we're going to be roughly 3 years past the initial trailer launch, what's to say it won't be pushed to 4, and maybe 5? Some people have asked why this is such a big deal, as, let's be real, the other open worlds, what Duviri is speculated to be, haven't really been great, and given Warframe's history with this type of thing, it too will most likely end up adding to the whole credit content problem. Every other open world has required major work after the fact, and it's true. I can't see this one being any different, but the lore implications of this quest are obviously extremely important and will most likely take the game's narrative and potentially gameplay in a completely different direction. To me, this is really the next big chapter in the Tenno's story, and many have speculated this area to be one the Tenno as a child will be utilized, potentially giving added importance back to the focus system. Yeah, remember that? But now, I don't know what's going to happen. As far as lore speculation and theory crafting on this channel at least, I'm going to proceed as if the Duviri Paradox will in fact release. They say they're going to do it, so I'm going to trust that it does come to fruition. Also, if it doesn't, many of the theories on this channel make little to no sense, so that's also something fueling my decision. That being said, I'm personally getting myself prepared for bad news, in the form of this quest being shelved for the foreseeable future as they address other things they feel are more important. Never have I hoped myself to be more wrong so much in regards to the Warframe universe, so here's to hoping I'm being overcautious, seeing something that isn't there. It's a weird scenario to actively hope you're dead wrong, but that's where we're at right now. Admittedly, this is a bit of a rant video, but one I wanted to get out regardless. In my opinion, DE really needs to consider utilizing the player test server more often and get content in a much more finished state before launch, even if it means delaying the stuff. I've said in the past that you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and that remains as true today as it ever has. The fact that they are consistently playing catch-up on released stuff is digging them in a hole they may not be able to crawl out of at some point. That's just how this stuff tends to work. And I'm guessing they are just as frustrated about it as we are. But here's to hoping Rebecca was just having a bad day and things aren't as bad as they appear. As always, only time will tell. At any rate, I hope you all have a wonderful day today, a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll talk at you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.